Welcome to the Culture Exchange, where we take you to a journey beyond borders, where stories intersect, traditions collide, and understanding blooms. The Culture Exchange isn't just a show, it's a passport to human connection. We're diving deep into the beautiful, complex tapestry of global human experience, exploring how traditions travel, how perspectives shift, and how we truly begin to understand one another. Welcome to the Culture Exchange.
This is a test for That Radio. Please allow us a few moments to perform this test.
All right, we got our brother Ali in here
What's up?
with us tonight.
What's up, fam? What's going on?
All right, all right. How you doing today, Ray?
I'm fantastic. How you feeling?
I am good. I am good. Sorry for all the confusion, but let's go. Let's roll with it. I'm excited today.
Me too.
All right. You want to kick it off for us, Ray?
Yes. So, for the people who don't know who you are, can you give a little background about you yourself, and then we'll get into the bookstore.
Sure. It's not too much to me. I'm just a servant. I am active in the community. I started off as an organizer, just grassroots, trying to work together with other like-minded individuals on solutions to the problems that we face as a community. And one of the main things that I found, the recurring problem that we face, that we run into, is a lack of power, a lack of resources, right? And so one of the ways to secure those resources to fund the work that's necessary is through business, is through entrepreneurship and enterprise. And so that's where I focus a lot of my effort, is to try to build business and help other individuals who are community minded build businesses, so that we can create jobs, so we can generate wealth that funds the movement, that funds the work. And that's where the bookstore came out of. But again, I'm just privileged to be here, to live in this time. So many sacrifices have been made by our ancestors and our elders to get us to this point. And so I just consider it an honor to be in this moment and have an opportunity to live in it and do my small part.
It's not a small part, it's the big part in what you're doing.
Really? It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
You got to clap it up for that.
100%.
So where are you located?
Yeah, man, we out here in this desert. People don't believe it's Black people in Phoenix, but we are in Phoenix, Arizona, the 5th largest city in the country. And there's something spiritual to the Phoenix, the rising from the ashes. Us Black folks here in Phoenix, we feel like we represent that well. So yeah, but that's where I've been. I'm not originally from here. I'm originally from Alabama, but I've been here for about 15 years.
Okay. Great weather out there, though, right?
Right now, absolutely, especially in comparison. Now, don't talk to me in July.
Okay.
That's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole right. I'll be looking for the next ticket out of here in July.
So, as an activist on bookstore, how do you stay activated within the community?
Yeah, so a number of things. One of the main things that we pride ourselves on is being a space, right? We there's a shortage of those in our community. Safe space where we can be ourselves, where we can build community, where we can heal, and educate ourselves, and all of the things that are able to happen inside of a space like a bookstore. So that's one of the main things that we do, is we provide space. We host a lot of political education classes. We've hosted a bunch of poetry, book readings, events for children, study groups. So really, that's part of the main thing, is making sure that we're providing that space, and that we remain a community-focused space, a safe space, and empowering space for our community.
Oh, absolutely. I was having a conversation earlier with someone from Nashville, and we were talking a lot about our people just in general, but we don't have too many safe spaces. So it's up to us to create those spaces, because, we face a lot of daily tragedies, unfortunately.
It's traumatic.
Yeah, and nobody can provide those spaces for us in order for us to be comfortable. So when we make those for ourselves, we're like a big happy family. 100.
100%. And that's why it's so critical to have spaces like this in our community that we own and control,
Mhm.
because, we know what the alternative is, right? And so it's just imperative that we support them, right? There's only a handful of Black bookstores in the country, right? But it's imperative that we support them, and that we continue to open more, because they have so many tangible and intangible benefits. Every Sunday we host chess. Chess we call Chess Master Sunday, and we provide free chess lessons. And over the past few weeks, man, it's just been amazing to see elders sitting across the table from the youth playing the game of chess. And when I just sit back and I watch it, it's like, where else in our community can you see this? Where you're gonna see elders and youth that's not related, right, sitting across from the table, laughing, building a relationship with each other. And so, and that's a true sense of community, and we need it desperately, especially in a place like Phoenix, because it's, we kind of spread out here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How long have you been into activism?
Man, when did I start? It was like must have been like 2016. I started organizing with the Justice for Elf's movement. That's when I first kind of cut my teeth as an organizer. But I was still focused primarily on economics. Just trying to change our spending pattern and our buying habits, being more intentional about supporting Black-owned businesses, being more intentional about using our power to benefit us. So boycotts and divesting from certain things, like those people who treat us wrong and disrespect us and don't have our best interests at heart. We have power, right? We have a voice that they will listen to and that they will respect, but we have to use it. We got to be organized and be intentional and serious about it. And so
Right.
that's where a lot of my work was centered. But the organization itself, I supported agriculture work. We have farms out here that we were working on, health work, just a number of things, education, martial arts, self-defense, preparedness, it ran the gamut. But my personal focus was on, like I said, on economic justice and buying Black and that kind of thing.
Okay. Because I understand you do come from a finance background. Is that right?
I do, yeah. So I come from an entrepreneurial background. My mom was a business owner. I've been doing business since I was in middle school. I sold about everything, but when I graduated college, I wanted to just, because hustling, it takes a lot out of you, right? And
Oh yeah.
I wanted to settle down. I wanted to have a normal life, and so I was like, let me try this corporate thing and just work my 9 to 5, and see what everybody else's thinks of life. And I tried it for a little while, but once it's in you, it's in you. And so I wasn't comfortable there. But at that time, while the entrepreneurship thing was like, okay, I want to get back out and do my own thing, it was really the community thing and what I was witnessing in the world that was the bigger draw. Right. And so that's where I ended up leaving. I didn't leave to start my own business again. I left to be a full-time organizer and just work in the community.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I know we touched on one aspect of what you bring to the community, but prior to the store being built, what were some other things that you saw missing within the community? And I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but how has the bookstore been able to feed what was missing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main reason we created the bookstore, and I don't know if I've shared this a lot, was two things. One was to create a space where activists and business people could connect, right? Because there's a divide between the activist community and the business community, which is something that I noticed, before we started the store. And me kind of living in both of those worlds, I saw how important it was, right? Because like if these two groups can get together, if the entrepreneurial people can be more business minded, if the entrepreneurial people can be more community minded, and the community people can be more business minded, right, we can move this ball a lot further down the road, and we can make the works more sustainable. Because that's really, I'll get on a soapbox real quick. That's really a lot of the challenge in the activism space or in the movement workspace is oftentimes, right, we are beholden to funders, right? Whether
Mhm.
if you're a nonprofit or if you're a community organization, you have to get donations, you have to get grants, you have to get sponsors, you have to get all these things so you can pay salaries, right? So that you can, because as I say, you can't serve two masters. So if I'm gonna serve the community, I can't be going in the clock in and only trying to serve the community with a small fraction of my time. I want to devote all my time and energy into the work that I'm doing, into the work that I'm passionate about, into this liberation work, right? But at the same time, in order to do that, the money has to come from somewhere, right? And what I was noticing over and over again was the money was coming from, mostly organizations and funders in the dominant culture, right? These white organizations, these democratic liberal organizations that's funding the work, right? And it's all looks and feels good in the moment because all these checks are getting cut. But the moment your agenda becomes too radical, right? The moment you become too revolutionary, as Thomas Sankara said, "He who feeds you controls you," right? And so it's a big liability to put all of your eggs into that basket, right? And while it's probably a longer term strategy to say we're going to fund our movement work from our own businesses and from our own efforts, if we don't take the steps to create that reality, we'll always be in this same cycle, right? And so that was a dynamic that I wanted to change. That's what something that I felt was missing. So that was one reason, right? And then selfishly, the other reason, I have daughters. My girls at this stage, they are 10 and 7. But when I started the bookstore, they were 5 and 2, right? And one of our favorite things to do was to go and get smoothies, right? And there was a black-owned smoothie place that we used to love to go to, and they closed, and it broke my little girl's heart. And
Mm.
so I was like, I'm gonna open up a place where we can go get smoothies, but not just me, right? But other fathers, other families can go and have a space
Like, yeah.
where, you know what I mean, where we can enjoy it, and it'll be a black space, a affirming space, a nice, beautiful quality space, where we can have that time. And so those two things, those two elements were my main motivation. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of others, but those were the main motivations. Those are the main things that I felt was missing. That definitely affected me personally, but was on a macro level. I felt were major gaps, major needs in our community. And so, since creating that space, not only have I obviously been fulfilled because those are things that I was consciously looking for, but I see that they are resonating and reverberating throughout the community
Mhm.
because constantly we get families coming in to sit down and play chess and to have smoothies and to sit in the children's section and read. Excuse me. And then we have organizers that come, we have business people that come and are building community within the space.
What what do you think people is most misunderstood about the communities you serve? What's the most misunderstood thing?
Wow, that's a big question. That's a really big question. What is the most misunderstood thing about our community? I mean, that's probably a difficult question to ask because I don't, especially in the space that I'm in right now, I don't much care about what other people think about our community,
No,
especially.
I mean, no, I
Yeah.
mean the community themselves. What,
Oh,
yeah, what's the most misunderstood thing that that they have a misunderstanding about in their own communities? That's what I meant.
oh, gotcha. Oh man, it's probably a lot. Um, it's probably a lot that I can say about that. Most recently, because I've been really going hard on the time that we're in, the moment that we're in, and us like realizing and waking up to it and seizing it. Um, and I hear despair, I hear a lack of hope, that comes from people. And so the one thing I'll say, or at least what I'll start with, is uh, like just understanding history, right? Understanding history, understanding where we are, and like and everything that we've been through, right? Like I hear people. I was just having a conversation, and somebody was like, you know, people are they're always into this, non-productive, negative behavior, and this and that. But I'm like, if you were to take any subject, right, any creature and subject it to hundreds of years of trauma, right? Look at the timeline, right? Like 400 years, like we're still under a lot of that madness, right? So it's only natural that people gonna be crazy, right? It's only natural you gonna get some. It's mental illness. Like it's only natural you're gonna have some backwards things happening, right? But the fact that we're still here, the fact that we're still moving forward, the fact that we're still building after everything that we've been through, I think that's
Persevering. That's one thing
commended.
about us. We
Yeah,
will persevere.
absolutely, and that's something to be commended, not shamed. And so I think, if more people understood, and took the time to just study our history and realize everything that we've been through and where we are in that timeline, I think everything that's ahead of us is very bright.
It is. It's important for us to remember where we came from and the things that we have overcame. But
Right.
a lot of people have forgotten about that, unfortunately. So they're still stuck in like those slavery times, which I read on your website. I believe you I think it's a shirt, but I know it's a piece of merchandise where it says liberate the mind. And Marcus Garvey talks a lot about emancipation from mental slavery. So
That's right.
a lot of our people are still stuck in those ways, and they don't see the hope, they don't see the light that things can get better. But
Right.
we have to backtrack and be like, if our ancestors we freed ourselves, we had Black Wall Street, we
That's right.
had powerful leaders, we could do
That's
the
right.
same, we could do the same thing over again. But it's
Absolutely.
it starts with people like you and other activists as well that's trying to connect entrepreneurs and activists to get in that mindset so we can help free ourselves furthermore.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's not to have a false idea that everyone is going to get it right away,
Right.
right? Or everybody's going to be on board, or even that we can save everybody. I think that can be naive at times too, but we also can't give up on our people, right? I think there's a group of us that have work to do, that have to build, right, and do everything that we can so that, because sometimes it's the chicken and the egg, right? People are living in a survival mode, and right, and are, like you said, are under mental slavery, right? And have we've dealt with all these things. So right, it's like, yeah, they may not get it on their own, they may not get it right away, but if we were able to build, right, because we need schools, right? We need our own institutions, we need hospitals, right? Because if we go into these places and they don't have any care for us, they don't have any love for us, they just see us as a check, or they see us as a potential prisoner in the private prison, right? They're not gonna treat us as human beings, right? And so we have to be able to free our people and insulate our people from these systems so that we can repair and restore each other.
Yeah.
What do you think about starting our own curriculums, having our own
Necessary.
schools?
Necessary.
Okay.
Absolutely necessary. Shout out to Baba Amin, Uhuru Academy, one of my good brothers. He's doing exactly that. And I know that there are others that are around the country. There's actually a school right next to our bookstore, Modabe Education Center. So it's absolutely necessary and critical. But at the same time, we know that not everybody is going to be able to attend, at least not initially, is going to be able to attend schools that we start. And so we have to also be intentional about, educating the children no matter where they are, right? Whether that's Saturday schools or freedom schools in the summer, or Uhuru Academy is an online curriculum, right? We got it by any means necessary, right? It's like we know that we have to get what we need no matter what the situation is, right? But yes, I'm a strong advocate for our own institutions, our own schools, all the above.
Okay.
And pivoting back to the youth, I know when you engage with them at a young age, a lot of stuff are able to stick with them. So when they visit your bookstore, what skills do you hope they leave with?
Oof, everything,
Mm-hmm.
everything. Independent thinking, knowledge of self, right? Business, everything. But I mean, if I had to pick one, just a love for themselves and a love for the people, because it's society. This is a sick society we're in, right? And so, if we can get these young people to know who they are and love who they are, man, we change the world,
We would.
right? But you know that, but the what we what I'll say, I won't say we. What I have to do a better job. What I want to start doing more is just always making the time is reach out more into the community, bring the bookstore into the community, because the majority of the time the people who are coming into the space and bringing their children to space, they get it, right? They're coming in, they're reading black books, they're teaching their children chess, right? We have to do a better job of reaching out into the community and bringing that environment into the neighborhood, into the community. Because one, people may not know about us, we may not be accessible, right? They may not have transportation to be able to even get to us. We have limited hours. We're open from 12 to 6, right? People work, right? So people may not be able to get to the space as often as they like. People may not be able to afford books. We're getting ready to do a book drive where we're going to give books away. And so, we're trying to, I won't say it's difficult, right? But it takes maneuvering because we are a business at the same time. I would love to just be able to give books away. I wouldn't have to sell a book. I'd love to just be able to give all the books away. So, just finding that balance of making sure that we're serving the community, but also make sure that we're keeping our doors open. But I would say that's the thing is that I would want the children to come away with, is just that knowledge of self, knowledge of our history, knowledge of our people, and love for all those things.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Hmm. Would you say that maybe like in the next couple of years or so, if possible, that you would venture out to like different states with your bookstore?
Yeah, absolutely. The goal is definitely to expand this nationally, maybe even internationally.
Mm-hmm.
What my real goal with that it would be is to partner with other organizations, um, and and have it be a worker owned and community owned entity.
Yeah.
Like that's really what the goal. I don't know how to make that happen legally or structurally, right? That part I still got to figure out. But we didn't create this to be wealthy from it. We didn't create it to get any type of recognition. We truly created it because our community needs it. Our community needs a space. Our community needs a place where we can come together and build relationships, right? The more we build relationships, the more we're in community and connected, the more we'll be able to solve our problems, right? Oftentimes the only reason we suffer from these problems is because we don't see each other as family,
Right.
right? If somebody were to do something to your family member that you love, there's nothing that would stop you from ending that, right? There's nothing that could get in the way from somebody hurting my family, right? But yet and still we see our family going through it, right? Homeless and
Mhm.
suffering and our political prisoners. I just saw something about Jamil Alameen having cancer, right? I know Mumia has been suffering, have with some health challenges, right? And it's like we had a power to do something about all of our struggles, right? But we all have to be connected, right? We all have to be serious. We all have to have that sacrificial type of love for our people.
Awesome. Tell me more about the straw and wool hat store.
Yeah.
so so Strong Wool is a business that we started. Really, my partner was the brainchild for that. So outside of this, I run a nonprofit, which is focused on the same thing, business development, right? And so when we started the nonprofit, we were noticing and how the nonprofit function is it's really events, right? It's like let's do the same thing that we do with the bookstore. Let's bring folks together, right? So we can build community, but let's focus on Black business. And so we've been doing that for 8 years. And about like year 3 or 4, we noticed that it's like we're getting the same type of product. We're getting the same type of stuff. Like the people are showing up, they want to shop, they want to spend money, and they looking for stuff. But it's some stuff that's missing, right? And so one of the things that we noticed that was missing was stuff for men, right? Products for men. Most of the business owners were women. Most of the people that were shopping were women. But when men would come, whether they would be by themselves or with their families, they would just be kind of walking around with their hands in their pocket. And so
You can
Henry was
always
like,
pick up a hat.
right, exactly. Henry was like, well, let's try this hat thing out. And so we started selling the hats there at the marketplace. I had just opened the bookstore. And so once people started to gravitate to them, I was like, well, let's put some hats on some bookshelves in the bookstore, and and open up a hat store inside of the bookstore.
Right.
And so we did it, and it went well. And then we opened up a small boutique a month after that. That went well, and then we opened up a large boutique, which is where we are now in downtown Phoenix, and we've been there for 4 years. And then earlier this year, we just opened up a location in LA.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that. So yeah, we just figuring it out and navigating as we go. The goal is to become the largest hat company in the world, right? When you look at industries, right, whatever the percentage they say we are, you could double it because they lie, right? But whatever it is, let's say whatever they say. I think they say we 14% right now, right? But in that, if you look at every industry, no matter what it is, textiles, automobiles, tech, fashion, anything, there's nothing where we dominate, right? You can't pick a single industry where a Black person dominates the industry. You can't even pick an industry where a Black person is. You'd be hard pressed to find one where there's a Black market leader, right? In the top 3 or 5 companies in the industry, right? And so, say that again.
They won't let us.
They won't let us, right? But whatever we just say, they can't stop us either, right?
Right.
If we're working together, we're intentional and we're serious about it. And so, that's a goal that we have and a message that we want to see, and is that we can dominate, we can be the market leader after everything that we've been through. The competitors in our industry have been around for 100 years, right? If you look at Gorin Brothers and Dobbs and some of these other brands, they've been around forever, before it was even legal for a Black person to have a business. They've been around, right? And so we're trying to take the steps necessary to show clearly, that we can win, that we can thrive in the right circumstance. Especially because the majority of folks buying hats is us anyway. Like they know it, right? And that's the funniest part, is you look at the marketing with some of these companies, and they using Black people in all their ads, right? You just saw who was it? LVMH did the deal with Beyonce and I think and LeBron for the Hennessy and the cognac, right? They know who's buying this stuff, but we need ownership.
Yeah, and the hats are truly symbolic. They're symbolic in a sense, because a man felt like a hat is his crown in a sense.
Absolutely.
Or it's something to protect his crown.
Right.
Different way.
100%. Yeah. So that's our brand, and so we just building it. You know what I mean, and just trying to navigate and figure out as we go. But we're trying to do something different in the hat world with that.
Okay.
We on our way. We coming to Chicago. Everybody keep telling us to open up a spot in Chicago.
Hey, come on out here, man.
Yeah. We trying to get to Houston, either Houston or Atlanta next, and then we'll work on getting there.
Chicago. Okay.
Because it's a lot of empty storefronts in our city. And
oh wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of them.
Oh wow.
Well,
but it's
kind of starting over from the pandemic. The pandemic kind of shift things. So,
oh man,
yeah,
we all still coming back from that.
Recovering, from that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we was in New Orleans, and it was the same exact thing.
Okay, you got anything else, Ray?
Yes. So, how would one be able to liberate the mind?
How would one be able to liberate the mind? I mean, you just have to study. You just have to study. You have to know. When I can only speak from my personal experience, right? I don't know if there's a prescription to this process, right? um, when when I started to understand who and where I am, you know, it was a process of transformation, right? And it was like everything that we've been led to believe is a lie, right? And so you gotta empty the cup. And I'm sure there's probably some martial arts knowledge there somewhere, but it's like you gotta empty the cup and then you gotta refill it,
Hmm.
right? And so that was the whole process that I went through. I mean, I lost my mind, you know. It's like I damn near went crazy, right? And then I just had to just nonstop study, nonstop study. And we're still, and it's a lifelong process, right? It's like you never arrive, right? We just keep learning, we just keep evolving. There's things that I'm sure the most learned scholars still learns to this day, new information,
You never
right?
stop.
You never stop, right? We're lifelong students. That's a egotistical thing to think that you can learn it all, or that you need to stop learning. But I think you have to like recognize that there's a need to educate yourself,
Hmm.
right? A need to understand the truth about who we are and where we are, and how this dynamic came to be, how this condition even occurred,
Hmm.
right? I think that's probably the simplest way to just start there, right? You have to wake up and realize that this ain't right, right?
Right.
This dynamic that we're living in doesn't make sense, and then from there it's just a process of discovery. But so many people, it's hard to. It seems, I won't say that it's hard, but it seems like it's hard to even come to that, to get to that point, right?
Hmm.
Because there's a um, there's a campaign to keep us distracted. And it's very effective, right? It's very successful. I call it a campaign of confusion, but it's like, all these social media, all this television, all this stuff is just designed to keep us distracted, right?
Exactly.
That's why there's so much money that gets put into hip hop music, so much money that gets put into these things, because they just by it. Look, they got the by any means necessary strategy too. Like by any means necessary, keep these Negroes distracted,
Exactly.
right? That we cannot have another Black Panther Party. We cannot have another group of knowledge, educated, militant young folks that ain't scared. We can't have that, right? And so I think we just have to pause, right? That's what was so interesting about COVID. We actually started our bookstore right before COVID, the pandemic happened,
Hmm.
right? And we didn't have a website at the time. Like we didn't know what I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had never been in the book business, and so we just had a couple books on a couple shelves. Most of them was my. Y'all getting some inside information right now. Most of them was from my house. There's a bunch of my books up in the stuff, and and some books I had bought from Goodwill and stuff like that. And and so we didn't have a website. I don't even remember if we had social media. And then the pandemic happened, but we had a brick and mortar, we had a space. And so mostly what we was doing, we was showing documentaries. We was watching assassination of Fred Hampton. We was having discussions on the Panthers. We was just leaning heavy into political education stuff, because that was where I was at. And my wife was like, don't nobody want to read all them sad books. You need to get some fiction, you need to get some children's books and stuff like that. But at our start, that's really all we were doing. And so when the pandemic happened, um, we had to shut down. We couldn't operate our store. And so I'm like, well, we got to close, because I ain't got no money to be paying rent. And I was barely selling books at all. We was, like I said, we was doing events and getting a little bit of money that way. But I was like, but if we can't do no events and I ain't got no website to sell no books, then we got to do something else.
Hmm.
And so my mom was like, go and do some read some children's books online because everybody at home, don't nobody know what to do. So we started reading the children's books online, and people started buying the children's books. Or then I started the website, so then people started buying the children's books on the website. And then during the pandemic, everybody probably remembers it, right? When Breonna Taylor was killed, right? And the protest movement kicked off. And it was like in that solitary moment, people couldn't go nowhere, they couldn't do nothing, right? And we were seeing this injustice happen right in front of our face. And at the bookstore, the booksellers got a upfront, in-depth look at the shift in consciousness, because the whole world was like, how did we get here? And so every single and we somebody had wrote an article about our about Black bookstores, and we got featured in it, and it was a national article. And so from that point on, that's what helped us get through, because we was closed the whole year 2020. We were closed the whole year. So that's the only thing that helped us survive was online, people buying books online. And it was all New Jim Crow. It was all Autobiography of Malcolm X. Where do we go from here? What else was it? White Fragility. Right, but it was all the color of law, the color of money, Marcus Garvey, how capitalism underdeveloped America, right? But it was all people seeking to understand how do we get here, right? And but that was a solitary moment because people couldn't. There was no distractions. Right, you had to take an unflinching look at America, and the whole world went crazy after that. It was protests, people was bedlam in the streets, stuff was getting burned down, right? Just that one moment, right? And it was a fleeting moment because right now we see that that dynamic isn't there anymore. But people have to constantly remember to get past the distractions and look at what's happening and question it, right? And question what's really going on here. Why? Because if it don't make sense, it don't make sense, right? You wouldn't look at anything else that was crazy and be like, oh, that just makes sense, right? I always joke about white people and dogs, right? If white people looked at dogs and dogs was killing each other and doing that stuff, they'd be like, man, what the hell going on? Right? We need to fix this, right? But because it's black folks, y'all need to get it together, right? And so, but that's all it is that we just need to take a step back, right? Drown out the noise, drown out the distractions, and really see what's happening and ask ourselves, does it make sense, right? Is it just? And if it's not, right, we have to understand how it came to be and also how do we fix it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, brother, give us all of your information. Let everybody know where they can find you, how to get you on your social media. If you got your social media, your shop's address, and all of that good information for us.
Sure. So my stuff is I don't even know what I just changed it. But brother Ali, or actually I'll give you the business stuff, and then hopefully I don't be talking about nothing on mine anyway. Grass Rootz Bookstore is the business one. That's the bookstore. Excuse me. As we mentioned, Straw and AND Wool Hat Company is the hat company, and that's on Facebook, Instagram. And then the nonprofit, if folks are interested in the nonprofit, is called Archwood, ARCHOOD, WOOD, and Archwood Exchange. And that's an ode to Black Wall Street. Archer and Greenwood was the intersection. So we just put those two things together and created Archwood. But we've been around for 8 years, just doing work in the community. We just secured a 13,000 square foot historic space in downtown. It's going to be an events facility, an incubator, and offices for our organization as well as other nonprofits. So we just grinded, man. Like I said, we just trying to figure it out, and the community has been supporting us and you know, and believing in us, which we don't deserve, but that's what we do it for. And so we're just gonna keep, like I said, just keep serving. So I'm appreciative. We're appreciative of all the support, and look forward to working with other like-minded folks. If you know, if you have any interest in collaborating, or if you're in the Phoenix area, or you know, whatever, I'm here for the work. I'm here for the work. I'm here for, you know, everything the Creator has for us. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to support in any way that I can.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, y'all, that is Ali. Now, you got any other parting words, anything you want to say to the people? One more thing before you go, anything at all?
No, I mean, just reiterating everything that we said, right? Just don't give up on Black people, right? Let's stay strong in the fight,
Yeah.
right? Take your rest, right? Don't grind yourself down to dust, right? I know this is exciting, revolutionary times that we're in, but make sure that you're taking care of yourself. But stay strong in the fight. Let's keep fighting, right? We're not here for nothing, right? Our ancestors are with us. The Creator is with us. We have a amazing amazing charge and amazing responsibility in front of us to create a free world, right? And so all of the sacrifices will be worth it.
All right.
It'll be worth it.
Yes. Again, y'all, that is Ali. Yes, yes. Make sure y'all check him out in Phoenix. Grass Rootz Bookstore.
That's right.
And Straw and Wool. What is it? The hat store again?
Yeah, Strong Wool Hat Company. Yep.
Strong Wool Hat Company. Man, we appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much for your time. And we'll be talking to you again. Thank you for stopping by on the Culture Exchange or Bump That Radio.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, peace.